Hi, I'm USA Today bestselling author Jennifer Youngblood. Thanks for joining me for One Chapter a Day, The Clean Romance Way. Today, I'll be reading Chapter 17 of Her Crazy Rich Fake Fiancé. All I'll say about this one is that it is a doozy. Chapter 17. Later that night, Haven and Wyatt sat out on the back deck, huddled under a blanket as they faced the glow of the warm fire crackling in the pit. The fruity smell of burning wood tingled Haven's senses. "That was amazing today," she said, her breath turning to mist in the frosty air. "Your family made such a difference in Luke and Jules's life." Wyatt stroked her hair. "I can't take credit for it. It was all Mom and Dad." His voice had the lazy, contented sound of mellow relaxation. She angled to face him. "Your family is so different from what I expected." Wyatt grinned lopsidedly, making him look boyishly adorable. "How so?" She laughed softly, turning again to face the fire. As she collected her thoughts, she allowed her eyes to get lost in the continuous motion of the orange and blue flames. The wood cracked, sending embers shooting into the air amidst the smoke, causing her to jump. Wyatt chuckled, tightening his protective hold on her. "You were saying about my family?" he prompted. She pursed her lips. "Well, for starters, I didn't expect them to be filthy rich." She held up a finger, smiling. "Although, I did get suspicious when we stopped at the cottage supposedly owned by your family friends." "Does my family's wealth bother you?" The question was asked lightly enough, but she caught the serious undertone. "At first, yes," she admitted. He sighed. "Yeah, I could tell, especially when you first saw the house." He tensed. "What about now?" "Now I feel differently." She turned to him. "Your family is amazing." He smiled in appreciation. "We're okay," he drawled. "I'm serious. Typically wealthy people don't take time to look outside themselves. Why is your family so different?" He let out a long sigh. "Remember the man my dad spoke of last night during the Christmas star ceremony? His late friend, Maxwell Hamilton?" "Yes." "He's the one who changed the course of our family." Wyatt's voice grew nostalgic as Haven settled against him, ready to hear a story. "My dad grew up poor on the wrong side of the tracks. His mom came from a middle-class family." He chuckled. "As you can imagine, my mom's family didn't approve of my dad. They forbid my mom from ever seeing him again." Haven's eyes rounded. "That's terrible. What did they do?" "They sneaked around and dated each other for a couple of years. When my mom turned 18, they eloped. My dad set out to prove his in-laws wrong. He was determined to make something of himself. When my parents first started making money, they lost themselves for a while, started having marital problems. Then my dad met Maxwell Hamilton at a business seminar. Eventually, Dad confided in Maxwell, who urged him to start attending church with his family. Then Maxwell encouraged Dad to look outside himself and focus on other people." A grin tugged at his lips. "That started the famous ding-dong ditch and a course correction for our family. We've always given anonymously." He paused. "Of course, the record's now broken." Gratitude welled in her chest. "I'm glad we got to meet Luke and Jules." "Me too." Wyatt turned to face her. The reflection of the flames emphasized his strong, clean jawline. Haven's stomach did a little flip. Yes, he was so incredibly handsome she could hardly form a clear thought when he flashed one of his dazzling smiles in her direction. But what she felt for Wyatt was more than attraction. He was good and kind. She felt alive when she was with him. They had a bond Haven had not had with anyone except for her dad. A fierce longing built inside her. She wished her dad could meet Wyatt and his family. Tears rose in her eyes. "What is it?" He touched her cheek. She smiled. "I was just thinking how I wish you could meet my dad. He would have loved you." "I wish I could have met him too." Wyatt touched the tear on her cheek, his fingers lingering near her skin. A thought occurred to Haven, bringing with it a burst of inner light. All these years, she'd felt inferior to Bryn because of her stuttering issue. When her mother chose Bryn, Haven resented it. Now, however, she was coming to learn that the stuttering was a blessing in disguise. Being raised by her dad was one of the greatest privileges of her life. It made her want to seek for goodness as well as appreciating the goodness in others. Had Haven been raised by her mom, odds were she would have turned out selfish and worldly like Bryn. Haven might have missed the opportunity to meet Wyatt. Or worse, she would have failed to recognize his value and might have tossed him aside as Bryn had done. "A penny for your thoughts," Wyatt said, gazing into her eyes as his finger trailed down a lock of her hair. "I was thinking how blessed I am to be here with you." His lips curved into a smile. "Ditto," he said, his lips taking hers in a breathless kiss that left them both warm despite the cold. Haven's nerves were skipping like a crazed tap dancer as she studied her reflection in the mirror. She looked stunning in Bryn's red dress. She'd put her makeup on a touch heavy to give herself a more dramatic look, adding red lipstick for the final touch. Dangling diamond teardrop earrings caught the light from overhead, sparkling as she moved. All day long, excitement over the Christmas Eve party simmered in the air. A barrage of event trucks came and went, carrying armies of workers who buzzed around, setting everything up. As promised, Haven took an assessment of Beverly and Ellie's dresses, pretending to know something about design. Of course, it wasn't hard to give the okay because both dresses were spectacular. Ellie was fluttering around like a little butterfly, all smiles. Haven suspected her buoyant mood had something to do with the fact that Luke was coming to the party tonight. Once Christmas was over, Haven vowed to tell Wyatt the truth. She'd wait until the day after to drop the bomb. Tonight, however, she was in a dream where she was the princess floating to a magnificent party to meet the man of her dreams. She sucked in a deep breath, willing herself to calm down. Her phone rang. She reached for it. Her spirit seemed to split from her body when she saw who was calling. Bryn! Her pulse ratcheted up 100 notches, a wave of dizziness assaulting her. She let it go to voicemail. A second later, the phone rang again. Bryn! It rang a third time. When it rang a fourth, Haven knew she had to answer it. "Hello?" she squeaked, clutching the phone. "How could you?" Bryn seethed. "Of all the low-down things to do, I can't believe you would have the audacity to pretend to be me." Her throat squeezed together, cutting off Haven's breath as she gulped. She swallowed, managing to draw in a sliver of air. "How could you do this to me? To Wyatt?" Bryn's voice sounded hurt, wounded. Haven straightened to her full height, squaring her jaw. It was one thing for Bryn to rip her to shreds, but attempting to pass herself off as a victim, to ingratiate herself back into Wyatt's life, was crossing the line. "You don't care anything about Wyatt. You couldn't wait to run off to Ireland with Malcolm Chase, leaving me to clean up your mess." "I love Wyatt, and he loves me. You're an imposter," she seethed. Haven's hand went to her hip. "You wouldn't know the meaning of love if it hit you in the face. All you care about is the treasure and the wealth. Now that you know who Wyatt really is, you want him back. Well, it's too late for that, sister." "How dare you?" Haven barked out a laugh. "Wyatt doesn't love you. He never did. He loves me, and I love him. End of story." Bryn let out a string of curses, calling her every name in the book. "You won't get away with this. I'm coming to claim what's mine," she growled. Haven ended the call and placed her phone on the dresser. Shakes rattled through her body as she smoothed a hand over her dress. Change of plans. Christmas or no Christmas, she had to tell Wyatt the truth, now. She placed the palms of her hands on the dresser as she leaned forward, trying to get her bearings. A second later, she bowed her head and offered up a silent prayer for help. Yes, she was a louse for deceiving Wyatt and his family, but her intentions hadn't been malicious. Like the Davenports, she wanted to be a better person and help others. Surely that counted for something. The net is closing in. Oh my. Haven needs to tell Wyatt the truth now. Okay, join me tomorrow for the next chapter. Here's to keeping it sweet and swoony. See y'all tomorrow.